Hey, I'm Andrew Malacy. Welcome to my shop. I'd like to show you today my shooting board slash miter box setup that I've got. On one side, I've got my shooting board as normal, and on the other, I've got my miter. What I'd like to do is make the cut first, of course, on the miter box side. I've got a 45 and I've got a straight. So I make the cut, flip the whole thing over, and then I just clean everything up with my shooting board. I'll just let you know I'm a lefty, so I use my left hand for shooting, whereas most of the videos you'll see you use the right side for shooting. It doesn't matter, it all works the same. I'd like to give you a quick tour of my shooting board setup here and exactly how it would work from first cut to final cleanup. Before we get looking at my nice shooting board, I'd like to show you what my original shooting board looked like. It was just a piece of junk that worked. That's all that mattered. And as I used this for about a year, I started to develop another idea and prototype ideas out for it. This is it. It's a piece of old, disgusting plywood that I used forever. It's got the saw marks, it's chewed up, but it stayed true. Believe it or not, this little thing stayed true. The thing that I loved the most about it was this removable fence that I put in. You see, by loosening only these two screws, you've got yourself a much smaller fence. And all it was is one of those Lowe's yardsticks that they sell. This is an old one, by the way. And it serves as a permanent, very thin fence for planing small stock. As you can see, this really thin piece would be impossible to plane on some setups. But when you just have a really small fence, you can see that it sits proud of it and it works beautifully. I use this so much and I loved it, except I'm a little bit of a geek when it comes to aesthetics. I had to have something nicer, and I also found there were some limitations to this setup, which I decided to remedy with my second shooting board. Let's begin. Right here we have what you would say is a normal shooting board setup, but I've got my saw on this. Here's your normal shooting board setup, but actually my process doesn't start there. It starts on the other side here, which is on the miter side. I've got myself a nice back saw here, a crosscut saw. I've got myself a more or less squared up piece of pine here. Just gonna butt it up and make my cut. As you can see, the shavings escape out the back, and because I've got a sacrificial piece of material here, eventually when this wears out, I'll just replace it, held in place by nothing more than some screws. Let's check for square real quick. All right, this is the piece that was up against the fence, so we're gonna gauge off of that. Not bad, I would say. This is the bottom, we'll gauge off that. And as you might be able to tell, that there is a little bit of cleaning up that needs to be done, especially with the saw marks. So let's say this is the piece we want to keep. So after you clear the dust from your cut, just flip it on over. And instead of the saw, I'm going to move that out of the way so I don't knock it off and damage things. Just take your plane, bring it up to here. I like to always measure off the toe or gauge it off the toe or the front here of the plane. And then just take your shavings. There we go. We got some shavings coming along the way. I just sharpened this plane. It's not super sharp, but I just sharpened it yesterday. And you can see I'm taking good shavings there. It seems to be doing its work. There we go. That looks to be about the full width of the piece here. And as you can tell, that's got a pretty clean cut. That looks pretty good to me. That's how a shooting board works. I love the fact that I just start on the one side here, make my cut. I can do a 45 there or a 45 there. And boom, we're ready to go. This is the feature that I really love about my shooting board. You can just unscrew these and the whole mechanism pops off. All right, now that we've removed the high fence, which is what I primarily use to shoot because this is As you can see, it leaves it about 1.5 inches high or more even. I take this fence off if I need to really do some precision planing. We're going to take the reference edge now, which we referenced off this, the bottom, and now the side, so we have 3 out of 6 flat. We're going to reference it up against that, and feels great. And that's that. You have the ability to have a high fence for if you really want to plane off this for a high fence, a low fence if you have some thinner stock. You can shoot off of it. And the other feature is I have a 45-degree removable fence. So I have these 2 reference holes here and this line that I finished over actually so it doesn't get rubbed off so easily. I've left the screws a little proud here. And there we go. Let me go ahead and tighten this down. Before I do the second one, I'm going to make sure that everything's true to a 45-degree, which means I will extend the ruler portion of my square all the way out. I'll reference off my edge here, and I will hold that up as I begin to engage the screw in the reference hole. And just to take a look, we are doing well. We got no play in that. And this works perfectly. We just go right on by. And remember, I've included the 45 miters right here. So you make your cuts, once again, flip it over, and you're good to go. You can just true everything up on this one board. I just finished my cut. Let's go ahead and clean everything up. And bring it on up to meet the board here, and hopefully we'll be able to take off most of that tear out. Look at those shavings. This is just great. It's beautiful. I can feel it cutting, really no effort. The only effort I'm putting in is to make sure nothing moves. I will tell you that I usually clamp it down in the vise here, my leg vise, because I don't like having to butt my hip up against it. But that's an option, always. There we go. I like it. That last one there, that's full length, that's full width. We're good to go. Let's check for square. How square are we across it? Look at that. That's awesome. Square right all the way across. Now we're 45. The moment of truth. Bring it on up. Get any little of these stragglers out of the way so it doesn't affect our register. Holy cow. That is impressive. I love it. I just love this shooting board. I just love it. I put a lot of time into squaring everything up, truing everything up, making sure this was a perfect 45 that I could put on, remove, whatever, reliably. That extra time I took making my shooting board has saved me tons of time in cleanup and precision. I use this all the time. The 45 not so much, but the board all the time. Well, that's that. I hope it was enjoyable. I hope it was useful to you. I hope that my simple yet versatile shooting board has helped you see just how you can improve your workflow. From the removable shooting fence here to plain small stock, to the 45 removable fence, to the miter box area up here with the removable work surface, so you can prolong the life of your shooting board miter box combo here. Overall, I think that if you're able to find something that works for you, something that you're proud of and that you actually want to use, you're going to enjoy being down here in the shop a little bit more, make your life a little bit easier, so when you're down here, you can take the most advantage of it.